How is your Tuesday going? How is your Tuesday going? What's going on in the world? Oh my gosh. No. It didn't cut right. Didn't cut. No. That's the worst. It's the worst. All right, I need a new muffin. We need a new muffin, guys. I'll be right back. I'll talk to you guys while I'm going over there. We need a new muffin. What else is going on in the world? I saw that I don't know, this is a story that was a while back, but I just like to give updates to stories though, because a lot of times we see these headlines and you're interested in the story and then you never get the results or whatever. But this was the story that popped up like maybe like 3 weeks ago. It was the 500-pound rapper that's suing Lyft because a Lyft driver refused to give her a ride. Well, she dropped her lawsuit, and I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. That's an unwinnable case. Because at the end of the day, Lyft is just there. She was suing Lyft, and Lyft is just there, right? So they don't control what the driver does. If the driver didn't want to do the ride, the driver didn't want to do the ride. Come on, come on. And I don't know if you guys watched any of it, but I watched a lot of it because I just thought it was very interesting that when the lawyers they see these things and they get so excited. Like I don't know if you guys saw what her two lawyers look like, but one of them was this young guy and he was super excited. They're like little vampires, when they come out and they see a case that they could just charge just something. They're there. They are there. Vampires. How crazy is it that lawyers eventually will get replaced by AI? It's literally the easiest job to replace with AI. They're one of the most vulnerable jobs right now, I feel like. Like, of the high-end jobs that are out there, I'm talking about, doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever. Lawyer is actually one of the most vulnerable jobs out there because their job is literally knowing the law, but your human brain can only know so much of the law. You know what I mean? So lawyers are the most vulnerable job right now, I feel like, for AI, and that's so like, to me, that's pretty interesting. I mean, some parts of being a lawyer is still gonna be okay, but there are big chunks of the law industry that is going to get completely replaced by AI because, hello, like 90% of a lawyer's job is just knowing the law, and they cannot remember everything. The better the lawyer you are, the more you know the law, right? Well, you can only know so much. And that's why they specialize. Like a lot of these lawyers, they specialize in certain things. Like, oh, I'm the car accident lawyer, or I'm a corporate lawyer, or I'm a family lawyer. It's because there's so many like little rules and loopholes and all these little things that they can like jump into, and because you can only know so much about certain things, but. So I think if a lawyer is going to be okay, it's most likely trial lawyers. They're going to be okay, but it's just like the regular lawyer, they're outsies. 10 years from now, maybe 5 years from now, when the AI gets a little bit better, because right now it's still doing the dreaming thing, which is very annoying. The whole AI hallucination thing is, it's like if you don't know the answer for something and you just make up an answer because someone's asking you to answer right now. That's a problem. And as it keeps on, as it gets better, eventually that will work itself out. So you're not gonna have to worry about that anymore. But yeah, how crazy is it that one of the most high-paying jobs is the one job you don't really want to get into right now, unless you know that you want to be a certain type of lawyer that you know that's unreplaceable. Like I said, like a trial lawyer. Trial lawyer you still need, because okay, hello. Imagine, imagine later on if a trial lawyer gets replaced. Like imagine you show up to the like a court, right, and somebody just pops up a laptop, and the laptop just has ChatGPT on, but it's on like the voice mode. So as the other lawyer's talking, the laptop is hearing everything, and it comes up with an argument, and then has the text to speech aspect, you know. So like you're like making a case, and let's just say the Johnny Depp case, and they're like, oh, she pooped on the bed and blah 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 blah, and then it hears all this, and it comes up with an argument, and it's just like, oh, according to this case, this law here, blah blah blah, you're not allowed to poop on the bed. And then they're like, oh, that makes sense. And then how do you argue with a computer like that? You know, like imagine if like you have a lawyer, right? Yeah, right. It gives the answers in real time. Like, how do you argue with it? Once it gets real good, and it can become a trial lawyer. That's when things get real crazy. Like, imagine the judge, right? He's like, "Oh no, I rule this," and then the ChatGPT, the trial lawyer, is like, "Can I get a sidebar?" You know, but like in robot voice, and it's like citing laws and all kinds of stuff. Like the judge doesn't even know, and it's like, hey, you this is illegal what you're doing, and then the judge goes to jail. that's that's crazy. Like, how crazy is that? You spent all that money, all those years to get replaced by a computer. So yeah, I don't know, how do we get here, how do we start talking about this, but that's really interesting. Oh, I know. I was talking about those vampire lawyers that I saw on that 500 pound rapper that I think she gave up her case on suing Lyft, and I was just thinking about lawyers are vampires. What else is going on in the news today, or even as we're going? The big topic, of course, is the security leak. Some people were comparing it to what Hillary did with her off-server laptop, or her off-server email. I don't know. It all seems just so. It's like so silly. Everything's so silly. Oh, tariffs, boring. Yeah, I know. I think we're all over it at this point. we're, we're so over it. Okay, the one thing that's kind of concerning me right now is that I saw this morning, and this is really concerning to me. Is that the Europe, or the European Union, or whatever, they are canceling their orders for the F-35, right? And that's a huge, or not even that, they are canceling orders for a lot of US military stuff. And that is concerning to me, because that's like America's number one, that's like, you know, America's number one jam. We make weapons here. That's what we do. we're, we're like the world's like arms factory, you know. So to hear them saying that they don't trust American weapons and they don't want to buy it anymore, that's very concerning, because that's a huge part of uh, America's dominance and America's like export. Like that's the number one thing we sell. So that's really, because we don't, like, how every country has their jam. Like the Saudi Arabian countries, they have oil that they do. Norway has oil that they sell. That's Norway. That's how they're able to wait, make drones and have battle bots is for funds, I guess. That's fun. Oh, I love BattleBots when I was a kid. That was my favorite show. And I have a kid, and lately the kid's been into BattleBots, and I saw the new stuff that they have there. I'm like, whoa, BattleBots has gone a whole different way than I remember. That's crazy. But okay, so the European Union space, it makes sense what they're saying too, because they're worried about if things, if they get into a big war, they're worried about having all these American American weapons and stuff. They have to rely on American parts to service these things, especially the airplane. So, and they're worried that so much of that F-35 airplane is like computerized. They're worried that there's some kind of kill switch on there, and Lockheed Martin's like, "Yo, there's no kill switch on there. We definitely didn't backdoor something to to mess you guys up." And then Trump goes out on a press conference, and he was saying that the weapons that we sell to the other countries are watered down versions of the weapons that we have. And I was like, and that doesn't sound good. Come on, Donald. Come on. Art of the deal, okay? You don't tell people that you're selling them bad goods. So he goes out there and he's on his press conference, like the ones that he does inside the Oval Office, and he's like, "We're selling weapons, they're so good." But we're selling them the watered down version, just 10% less effective than the ones that we have. And it's like, oh, you know and it's like, oh, but we'll see what happens. So over it all. There's number one export, guys. Weapons. So that's not good. Art of the war. Yeah, but so like they're worried. You gotta put yourself in the shoes of one of these other countries. It makes sense. They're afraid that if they get into a war with, like, let's say, like Russia, that America is going to turn off their weaponry to fight Russia, and then they're going to be screwed. And so they're like, we're going to start making our own stuff. But okay, here's the thing. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. If Europe starts making their own weapons, we don't have to spend so much money on making weapons for them, and maybe we could actually use some of that money to do stuff inside the States. So that would be a great thing. And then I was thinking that they're so behind on weapon technology, right? They're so behind on weapon technology that technically, if they start making their own weapons, we can go in there and we can swoop them up. Imagine like the French, right? They're trying to make they're trying to make like guns and stuff now, and they're not very good at it, because there's a ramp up period when you need, like, in a way, kind of like why the chips, the semiconductors and chip stuff are in a particular area, is because they went all in on it. And if you guys have seen the big like fabrication factories, exactly. All right, Jen, you're on it. Okay, So, but like, have you seen the factory? And I think it's in the Taiwan one, right? It's like $100 billion factory. It's a huge project, and it's because it has to be leveled and it has to be earthquake proof because these things are like the etching into the microchips are like so tiny that a single movement of the building can mess it up, right? And so it has to be completely precise because it's so small. Like the chips are this tiny, and it's basically writing little like things in there. And to make that building like that, where the movement of the Earth or rotation of the Earth doesn't even affect it. Like imagine you have to be so precise that you have to factor in the rotation of the Earth, right? Or just micro. I was thinking about. I know we have those factories, but they're not big enough to keep up. Okay, I was thinking how precise those factories have to be. I wonder if all the employees jump up on one side of the building. I don't know why I was thinking about this, but if everyone jumps up on one side of the building and tries to shake it just a little bit, will it mess up the chips? That's just a thought. But anyways, back to the weapons. There's no way that they can keep up. You can't just start now. I know they do have some manufacturing over there to make weapons, but you can't just start now. So, if that's the case, we could technically go over there and roll on them. They said they're gonna start making their own weaponry, and we're like, okay. And then that's how world domination starts happening. All right, first apron's done. Cutie pie. Really? Really, Jen? It takes 37 seconds to make a Tesla? That's crazy. I did not know that. But I don't think they need to make them that fast anymore because people are not buying them right now. I have a Tesla, and I like it. I like it a lot. But I had it before like all this started going on. So you know what? Why I got a Tesla? It's because my friend got a Tesla. This is like 4 or 5 years ago, right? And I got a Tesla because my friend got a Tesla, and he drove me in it, and I remember being in there, and I was thinking to myself, my car is ancient compared to this thing. Like it has so many cool features on there, but at the same time, what I don't like about the Tesla is I can feel okay, Jen, you could maybe if you have one too, you can feel that this thing is ripping you off in a way. This is why I thought the Cybertruck was kind of funny to me because I don't know if you guys remember when they first announced the Cybertruck, right? Do you guys remember what the price of the Cybertruck was initially advertised as? The initial price of the Cybertruck was around $30,000. It was around there, give or take. I don't remember the exact number, but I remember it was around $30,000 for when they first announced the Cybertruck. All right, boom, boom. This one, so stud muffin. The other one was cutie pie. It's a cup apron set. All right, going out. So the initial Cybertruck was announced to be $30,000 for the smallest base model, right? And the thing about Tesla is that you can't really tell that much about the different levels. It's like literally some letters on the back, and they're like, "Oh, it's a different version." Well, anyways, what happened? Well, they started actually making it, right? And they realized that some of the parts for it went up, and this and that happened, and the price of it went up for them to make it. So they had to charge more for it. But when they originally planned this car out, and you remember, cars are actually created 4 or 5 years in advance. So whatever they're working on right now is the car that's going to come out 3 or 4 years from now. So when they first started working on it, they're like, we priced everything out. We can sell it to the public for $30,000. And then once they started manufacturing and getting to the bottom line to it, it went up. So then the base model became like $60,000 or something, right? But the original concept of the car was supposed to be for $30,000. So inside the actual Cybertruck, that's why everything inside is actually so cheap, even though the car is so expensive, because they originally were planning it to be $30,000. But yeah, I feel that way when I'm inside the Tesla a little bit. When you actually start examining the panels and stuff, it feels cheaply made. I mean, the value of a Tesla is actually in their software. Like that's what they have that's really cool. But the actual car itself, but I still like it. Well, the other thing I like about the Tesla, right, is it feels like my kid can drive it, because it drives like a golf cart, or like, you know, any kind of, like, it drives like one of their, like a kid's electric little like vehicle that they have, like a Barbie Jeep. Yeah, you know what I mean? Oh, funding your future to Mars. Then you want to hear my take on the whole Mars thing? I'm saying, I've been saying for the last 2-3 days now, okay, that cloning technology exists, and Elon actually wants to clone himself. and when you clone yourself, right, is you know, people think when you're gonna clone yourself, that you're gonna come out as a full-on adult. No, if you really think about it, cloning, at least in the modern, if realistic sense, you would come out as a baby, right? Right? You're basically a newborn you. All right. So this next one, right? Yeah, I'm saying he probably has already, and in a way, this is why he has so many kids, is to hide the clone in there. Like one of the, or maybe, okay, maybe he's having so many kids, it's because he doesn't know which one is gonna take to go up. So he just to just like, you know what I mean? We're getting the weeds now. All right. He's having so many kids is because you don't know which of these clones is going to be successful. Because in science, right, they always tell you percentages, like, hey, this is 20% chance that this is going to happen, 20% chance this kid's going to have autism, the 10% chance this is going to work. So maybe it's like a 5% chance that you're going to have a perfect match clone. And so he just keeps going, pew, 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 blasting, you know, everyone he sees. Like, have you seen some of the ladies that he's gone with? It's like his secretary, his, I don't know, his Uber driver. Like, it's literally anybody he sees. Okay, yeah, okay, we'll get to that too. But it's like literally his baby mamas are like literally anybody that's at his side. It's like he's gone. So that's the part that I also find hilarious, because it's like, you think, okay, you know, like Jeff Bezos, right? He's going after like supermodel types, right? Elon is going after anybody you see. It's like one of those, like a reporter. Like someone reported on him, like it was like a reporter that writes articles about him. Bam, kid. One of them is like a secretary that works for him. Bam, kid. Like anybody he sees. Like Elon looks at you, you're gonna get pregnant at this point. I wonder what the okay, you know, another thing I'm thinking about now is, I wonder what the office like is like. Like, you get hired to work for one of Elon's companies, and he just looks at you and just like, boom, you're preggers now. It's like in the job description. If Elon gets, there's like in the HR packet that they give you, if Elon gets you preggers, you cannot sue. Well, anyways, so why he would want to clone? Because you know cloning exists, right? And I've been talking about this for like the last 3 days. It exists because you know, they cloned that sheep back in the 90s, dude. In the 90s. So you're saying in the last like 20, 30 years, they haven't perfected it even better? They could clone your dog if they wanted to. right? And the only reason why they don't do it with humans is because there was an agreement made a while back that they weren't gonna do that with humans. But you're telling me some U.S. aid, CIA dark lab somewhere in the Congo that they don't have multiple Elons just sitting in a freezer somewhere, like it's happening, or somewhere in China, there like these rules, and in the China they'd be like, we don't speak English, right? And they're like, we don't know what this means, and then they just start cloning people. um Okay, but why would he want to clone? All right, let's get more crazy. Okay, so he wants to go to Mars, right? Mars is a multi-year project, multi-year project. He will most likely not be around to see the end of the Mars project, right? Because ah, we're going here. This must be better. All right, well, walk with me. Walk with me. All right, so multi-year project, right? Yeah, sorry, move you guys around. All right, yeah, much better. Sorry about that. Sometimes that microphone I have uh, dies on me. All right, it's a multi-year project to send people to Mars, right? 1 year to get there, and they're the plan that I was told when I read on this like many years ago. They're gonna send ships over and keep sending them until they have enough supplies to build a return pad, and the original people, the first set, gets sent back. So how many years would that be of sending ships over there? Would they have enough to build a return? Oh, you missed our. I don't know which part that you missed, Jen, but I was at. I guess I'll start over. Why Elon wants to clone himself is that he won't be around for the time that they get enough stuff together to kind of get to Mars and actually get back. Because the idea that I was told a while ago on the Mars plan was to send a ship over there with a crew, and every month after that they were gonna send another ship. And so the first one, it takes a year to get over there. So a year to get over there, and then once they land, their job is to assess and then start working on building a return launch station. And so why every month they're sending a new ship over is because each ship that comes over has different parts and supplies to go to build them a return station. And that's why there's all these like catch, like why they're working on like different things to catch or to reuse the rockets, because when you get over there, they need to be able to reuse all the parts for them to launch a ship back, because you don't want to get stuck over there.
Yeah, I know someone was working because this is years ago that I read this. I mean, I'm telling you, things have could have changed. I'm just some guy in my garage that's read things every once in a while. Anyways, so this is a multi-year project, right? Because how many you think about how many ships it's gonna take for them to have enough parts to build a return station, and he's not gonna be around for that. And so while this is going on, if he can get a successful clone going, uh, by the time that it is ready, the clone will be like 20, 30 years old, just optimal prime age to start operating things again, and it'll just keep on going, keep on going. But then to get to the other point you were talking about, the nurture part, I totally agree with you about that. I was saying this earlier too, that your clone, the clone you is actually just your body, right? But your body and well, the problem with a 3D printer is that eventually it runs out of filament. You know what I mean? Okay, but the clone. Sorry, I'm walking now. I have to cut something, so it's gonna move around. If I had my microphone working, you wouldn't be moving around so much. Um, what was the, or where were we going? Oh my god, lost my train of thought. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, cloning. All right, the clone is actually just the body, right? And but the nurture part, your experiences are going to be completely different. So I guess in a way, the clone is not you, but it's just your body. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, this clone won't have the same experiences as you did. Like I was saying earlier in one of my other videos, that a big part of my childhood was being scared to be in a room by myself because I watched Aliens when I was little, and that scarred me for life. Because there was that scene in Aliens where the guy puts the face huggers in their room when Ripley and the girl was like sleeping, and that scarred me for life. I was like, oh my god, someone's gonna if I'm in a dark room by myself, someone's gonna throw in some face huggers and they're gonna get me. And my brother and my cousin would always like uh, tease me about that, and that scarred me for life. So that Elon clone is not gonna have that experience, or whatever experience that shaped him to be the weird guy that he is. If you know what I'm saying. But yeah, okay. Yes, they can source stuff on Mars itself, right? But it's raw. It's like raw stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's a rock. Like let's say they need steel or aluminum, right? And they're like, oh, I'm sure they're gonna do those scans ahead of time to figure out where the aluminum or whatever is, right? But it's a raw, it's in this raw basic form. You're expecting these astronauts. I know they're super smart and they know all kinds of different things, but now you expect them to be aluminum factory workers too. Like they have to process it to make it usable for a let's say the 3D printing idea. Like they would have to process that, you know, melt it down, reform it until it's liquid form, and then you know change it into bars or something for the 3D printer to use. Like you can't expect them to do that. That's crazy. How crazy is it to be an astronaut? Like you just need to know all kinds of stuff all the time. And then now I'm thinking about this Mars journey. Now we're on this topic. At what point are you gonna run out of like the most highly trained, highly skilled, like people that want to go? Because the issue about going the Mars journey is that you're you could be potentially losing, you know, like the smartest, brightest Earthlings, you know. And so at one point, do you start selling hillbillies to go up there? Like, or anyone that wants to sign up? Because at some point in the Mars mission, right, you're gonna need labor. You don't need at some. I don't know why I think this is funny. At some point, you don't need rocket scientists to go up there. You need guys that could lift stuff, right? So at some point during this Mars colonization plan, they're gonna be looking for like bodybuilders or just like guys that could lift things. Right? Or they, yeah, like you said, Jen, they'll need baby, like they'll need regular people. So it's like that part is actually pretty funny to me, where it'd be like you're like this scientist, astronaut, guy person that has trained years and years and years, right? You do all the testing, you do the spinning thing, the water training, to mimic space. You do all this training, right? And then you're on the ship, and then next to you on the ship is like, I don't know, The Rock, and it's like, hey, Dwayne, like, what are you doing here? They need someone to lift things. I like to lift things. I want to lift things. And they're like, you're like, what? What training did you do? I don't know. They showed me a movie. Go to space, put suit on, lift things. Or, or they're gonna need like truck drivers now. And then, so then like they'll get like, it's like Armageddon, right? You remember Armageddon? How they just like got people, they found like oil riggers and they sent them to space. It's gonna be literally like that. At some point, Armageddon is gonna be real. Where they're gonna be like, we need drillers, and they're like, what? Yeah, we need drillers. And then so they just go to some oil rig, they'll get some people and they'll send them out. Like that's gonna be real at some point. That's really funny. And we're like, you know what? They're gonna start having children up there. We need nannies. And then okay. Now what I'm thinking. You know, right now in America, we're trying to deport all the illegals, right? What happens later on? This is actually just a seed plan for them to actually deport people up to Mars because we need workers in Mars. Oh, got the plan. See, Elon has the plan. He already thought of this. Okay, they were already just. Remember, we're just joking around, okay? He's just setting up the idea that we're just gonna deport people. And think about it right now, right? They're deporting them into like these concentration camps or whatever, right? And I don't know if it's real, like who knows what's real. I saw footage of them like sewing, like they're like working, right? They're like in concentration camps working. And everyone's just like, whatever. It's not me, whatever. What happens if they're actually just planting the seed for the idea that they're gonna start deporting people up to Mars so they can like do work. I'm laughing, but okay. Later on, this is real, and remember, you heard it here first. That's an idea. I'm saying what the at least one thing I find very interesting about the Trump regime is that no idea is a bad idea as long as you have an idea. All right, this one is done. Come, you gotta come with me. It's like Australia. Yes, modern day Australia. Like, do you guys remember when people used to do that? Like, we stopped doing that. And you know how Trump's always big on like history stuff. Like, it's like, oh, we're gonna enact the war powers of 19 whatever, right? Like he's big on old history stuff, and maybe it's somewhere down there. They're like, do you remember when countries used to go to other countries and just like colonize and dominate them? What happened to that? Let's bring that back. And they're like, there's no more land to get. And they're like, but there's Mars. We gotta get the Mars. That's funny. Okay, remember, you heard this idea here first. If Elon's out there and he sees this, he's like, that's brilliant. Brilliant. Alright, this is the last thing I gotta make, and then I'm gonna go back inside and do other work. My whole day is consistent of doing random projects all day. Oh, you tell me you see them? Perfect. Okay, but Jen, listen, don't get too close, okay? You know what's gonna happen if you get too close to Elon, okay? He'll get you. I swear. Like, you know what's funny about the Elon Kids news, right? It's literally every um you know what's really funny about the Elon news, right? Is that, do you guys remember before Trump won, right? He had a certain amount of kids, and right now Trump's been in office for 2 months now. We found out about 2 new kids in 2 months. That's crazy. So that's what I'm saying. Like every month he's got a new kid. Like that's insane. How do you get a new kid every month? He's your hall pass? Oh no. Oh no. It's oh no. Jen, don't do it. Telling you. I wouldn't be surprised if you know how they have like these cabinet meetings, right? And the whole cabinet's there, and there are a lot of like reporters. There are a lot of reporters, and sometimes they send female reporters. And the thing about reporters is like, what's very interesting about reporters is that one part of the reporting job is that you have to be somewhat smart, right? Because for you to even get all the schooling done to become a reporter is actually a lot. Like, I don't know why, like a journalism degree is actually a like a big chunk for you, especially for you to get all the way up to there, right? The second part of the job to be a reporter is that you have to be somewhat good looking. It's just the way it is. You hardly ever see a reporter that's not like decent looking, right? So, what happens if this is actually Elon's way of recruiting women? Because he got like one of the reporters, he did get a reporter pregnant, so that it's not out of the. I'm not like stretching too far. Would I want an Elon baby? Are you crazy? Let me think. With one of all, I'm a guy. But if you have to live in that hypothetical, if let's say I was a female, and Elon crosses my path, but the issue with Elon is that without his money, he would just be some weird guy with autism. So I don't know if you really want his baby. Don't his draw is his money. So maybe if he can offer you financial security and you were a lady. But does he, I saw somewhere that he doesn't like, he's almost like a deadbeat dad. I'm not sure. Like that's the part I find hard. Like I gotta do some research on that. Like does he actually like take care of his kids? No, that's how I feel about Elon too. I feel like his brain goes in different directions, and the issue is that he has the resources to act on a lot of his weird, like, man, like think about all the random thoughts that you have that go through your head, right? And now think that you actually have the ability to make some of them come true. Like some of it's like really dangerous and weird. You know what I mean? It's kind of like how Kanye is. Kanye also is like that, where his brain has all these ideas. At the same time, he has the resources to make some of these ideas come true. Some of it's good, and some of it's like completely insane. The flame, yeah, that's what I mean. The flamethrower idea, like, oh, just because, like, it just came to his mind, and he has the resources to do it. Like, think about the random things that come to your brain, and you're like, oh, I wish I could do this, but you actually can, and that's where you end up with super genius or completely insane. All right, flamethrower for funsies. Whatever happened to that? All right. Wait, I'm going to ask him for a pool full of poppies from the 80s. What? What poppies from the... You gotta explain that to me a little more, Jen. What is that even? Sorry, now we're on to the next part. I got an order for like poppies, as in like to make the ooey gooey. Is that what you're talking about? All right, so I got an order to make a bunch of these letters now. This is the next thing I gotta work on. So I got glue them all together. I cut them out in these little pieces, and then I gotta glue them. So that's the next thing we're working on. So boom, boom, boom. It's just this is pretty basic. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm just working on all kinds of different things. The other thing that I just did is, well, sorry, find a better place to put this thing. Sorry if it's getting creepy. The sound is bad. Do I have my own cutter? Yes. Yes, I do. It's the only way. Okay. Yeah, this is good. Okay. The other thing I just did last night, if you guys missed it, is someone ordered a kid's puzzle, and I just painted it and I put it together. So far, it looks like this for this kid named Otto. On the underside, it looks like this, but I got glue this on, so it looks like this. And then there's letters to go with it, right? It's so the kid can learn their names, like boom, boom, match the letters with the colors. And so, and gotta keep on, there's like little bits and pieces of that I need to do. And then that same person ordered a Kenny, but I'm still working on it. And they're out in Hawaii, so shout out to the island. Yeah, so next part, I gotta glue these letters together and get that shipped out. And I'm gonna work on this for another like 20 minutes and then move on. Yeah, I have my own cutter. I'm just basically, my day is filled with random projects, scraping by to get $1 here, $1 there. And I don't think I've seen you in here a lot, Jen, but I'll give you some backstory about me. I used to work in finance. I did insurance for a little while, and when I worked in finance, this is where I learned a lot about different projects and stuff. Because literally my job back then was to call and talk to people all over the country about trying to lend them money for random projects. And so when you're doing that, you learn about a lot of different stuff. Sorry, my glue. I need more glue. Yeah. Learn all kinds of weird stuff that goes on throughout the country. And if you want to talk business, we could talk business. And my day back then was literally filled with talking to people about their ambitions and stuff, what they want to do with their company and what their company needs. And I left that to do random projects at home. Because the thing was, the crappy about that is literally it felt like I was selling air. And selling, I don't know, you guys ever tried to sell air before? It's really hard. Because a lot of these finance companies, they don't have their own money. They actually, what they do is, let's say you're trying to buy let's make this more palpable. A tractor, right? The tractor company, they're in the business of selling tractors. They don't have financing, right? And so they'll usually outsource that financing to another company. So let's say my company or whatever. And what we do is we literally all we do is we get your you have someone who wants to buy a tractor, they can't afford to pay for it in full, so they have to finance it or lease it or whatever, right? What we do is we basically go, okay, how much money do they need? What are they getting? And then they were like, okay, that's great. And then we'll go find a bank to lend us money, and then we lend you money, you know? So that's why I'm saying it felt like we're selling air because we don't actually have anything. We didn't actually have any money, but that's literally what we did. So like, we'll buy the money. We'll buy the money from a bank for like 2%, and then we'll finance it and lease it out to you for 4% or something like that, and I get a percentage in there, and then the company gets a percentage, and you would never know. That's literally what we did, and I hated it. But the great thing about it was I get to talk to people from all over the country, all kinds of different businesses, and you get to. My favorite part that I really liked was learning how some of these businesses work. Just little like things that make that business tick. And I was telling the story earlier about a business that not a lot of people think about that makes really good money is porta potties. Porta potties is a huge revenue generator, and nobody ever thinks about it because every construction site that you see out there, every home project, not every home project, every big home project, the workers, unless you want them going to the bathroom inside your house, they're gonna. Like driving down the street, I saw like someone they're remodeling their house outside. They have a porta potty. Those construction companies don't own those porta potties. They are rented from another company. And the porta potties themselves, they range from like 200 to 600 depending how big and the style. The small basic one that you guys most familiar with, the single stalls, those are around $200 for them to buy from a manufacturer. And those porta potties actually, when you rent them, they're like $30, $20, $50 a day per day, right? And where the finance company comes in is that you can buy that straight up, right? But let's say you're a very big porta potty company and you have multiple projects going on and you don't have enough porta potties. You need to buy them, right? Why buy them when you can finance them? So let's just say a more expensive one, a $400 porta potty. The $400 one is like the little bit bigger one. A $600 one is the ones that you would see at like concerts, the really big ones, right? So I said earlier that you can rent them out for $20, $30 a day, right? My company will come in and we can finance those, right? We can finance that for maybe $20 a whole month. So think about that. Each one, right? The finance company can finance one of those things for you. So instead of paying the 200, $300 to buy it, but I'm talking about like you're buying like hundreds of them at a time. Because if you have one, you can rent it out, right? And then eventually you have to replace it. That's one thing. But another thing is that maybe you just need more. And you don't want to spend all the money at one time because you could spend a few $1,000 and get like 100 of them or 20, 30 of them, or you could just finance each one for 20, $30 a month, right? A month. And then if you can rent it out $20 a day, you know what I mean? Like you can scale pretty quickly. And so that's what I did. That was one of my specialties because I did one deal for one porta potty company, and I was like working out the math. I was like, this is genius. I'm gonna start calling all the porta potty companies and try to get be the porta potty financing guy, and I would literally break this down with all of them. I'm like, you can spend your money right now to buy, because some of them they're like, oh, I'll just buy when I need it because they're not expensive. And I was like, yeah, you could do that, but then you can grow your own area if you can have 30 of them. And because some of the projects, they're like, construction sites, they some of them are like months, some of them are weeks, some of them or just a few days. Like you don't know how long the project is. But if you have like if you only have like 10 porta potties or something like that, and there's 10 construction sites and they need this for this many months, you're done. Like it's nice, like, yeah, you got them all rented out, but then you're not making any more money. So yeah, that's where I came in before. So I feel like I talked to a lot of different people about different businesses. So that's cool. All right, we can go back to talking about Elon, or we can solve a world problem. I haven't got anyone to give me a good world problem yet, but we can talk through and solve any of them. For those who've been coming here for a long time, I solved American hunger, the food problem. I solved taxes. Let's see, what else did we solve? I even solved Hooters going out of business. Oh, you want to do world peace? Okay, okay. World peace. Let me dwell on this. Okay, world peace. The issue with world peace is that at some point, 100% world peace. Woo! Making it real hard here. All right, all right. The issue with world peace is that there's always going to be some greedy guy out there that wants to get more, right? Because that's why we even have weapons, right? Like, we have weapons because, we're not actively engaging in that much war, if you really think about it. Yeah, there's a little bit war here and there, but we still have, America itself spends like, what was it, like $10 trillion, or I don't know. I know we're the number one spender in weaponry. Second place is China. Third place is Russia, and then there's like down to the floor all the European countries, and then the countries that just make machetes. Imagine that people are making like full on fighter jets and tanks and right now, and in your island country, your like like they'll have military production for every country. On some island somewhere, it will say like $100, and they're like, $100. What do they make there? Machetes. And like when they're trying to fight fighter jets, uh, with machetes, like there's a jet that flies by, they'll just like throw the machete at it. Anyways, okay, the issue is that there's going to be some guy that wants to take over, right? So I say if we can somehow get rid of all the weapons. Now, of course, this is not possible, but oh no. I'm sorry. I'm gonna think about this. How am I gonna solve world peace? The funny answer would be to send everyone to Mars. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll just send everyone to Mars, and everyone that wants to stay on Earth stays on Earth. Oh yeah, you know what? That is how I'm gonna solve world peace. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna send everyone to Mars that wants to go, and there'll be less people, right? And sorry, I gotta fix this. The glue, I guess, got hardened around the thing, and now it made a big cakey layer, and it's not coming out. So I gotta fix this so the glue can come out. Yeah, we'll just send everyone to Mars, and as everyone's going to Mars, there will be more resources on Earth. Boom! Easy peasy. But the less practical one would be, I think you just need to get rid of. Oh, okay. No. I got it. Okay, I got it. It's coming to me. Okay. Big issue is we're all just fighting for different resources, right? But you need your basic resources met. If, as long as those are met, there's a good chance you're not going to want to uh, do anything crazy. So you need to solve the hunger problem, right? First, in some of those countries that don't have a lot of food, they will feel like the world's against them because they don't have like even the most basic things like food. So how am I gonna solve this food problem, world hunger problem? Okay. The issue that I see is there's a lot of food being wasted. Uh, I'm not talking about like grocery store food. I'm just talking about food that people can eat that no one's eating. Take the fighting to space. Well, I'm saying that's plan A. If you could just start sending people away, there'll be less people and there'll be more resources, and then there'll be less of a reason to fight. The other thing, sorry if I'm going all over the place, because there's a lot of different ways, I guess. This was an idea that was floated a while back. Is the we need this is something that Ronald Reagan said actually is that at the end of the day we're all humans and we need to unite together, especially against a foreign threat, right? And this is some kabuki theater thing, right? To get world peace, what will unite everybody together? If aliens were real. And then so how there's people that think we faked the moon landing, right? You do fake aliens, and that would really, that would unite people together, and they'll stop all the fighting because you have a external threat, uh, and it makes your fight over land less like not as important because you're like, oh my gosh, we need to band together to like Independence Day. You need an Independence Day. Imagine if they actually spent the resources to make fake aliens to get world peace. Boom. I solved it. I solved it. Okay, that's one way. Make fake aliens and people unite together like they did in Independence Day. We need an Independence Day moment. Okay. Another plan is I'm gonna solve world hunger. If I can solve world hunger, people are less likely to fight each other because they all have food. Okay, this is how I want to solve world hunger. If you guys know anything about Cuba, right? Cuba, they are under heavy tariffs, right? All the time. They've been under tariffs for like a gajillion years. One of the main foods inside Cuba is octopus because that's one of the things that's naturally around there that they can get all the time. That an octopus like multiply like crazy. And they have a gajillion different octopus dishes, right? What's something else? Like one of the places that have the worst food insecurity is Africa, right? This is what you do. You gotta change their diet. Start introducing octopus to Africa. You know what I mean? Or gator or I've been talking about the Texas hogs for a while because it's a huge problem out there that there's these hogs in Texas. Um, right? There's these hogs in Texas that they're invasive and I don't know you guys seen it, they have helicopter tours that you can take to go on a helicopter and just mow down these hogs, and that's food. So what I mean is change the diet of some of these countries that don't have as much food because whatever is growing naturally in that area is obviously not working, right? Because they never have any food, like Ethiopia or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like they have uh those kids that don't have any food. It's because obviously whatever is in that area is not enough. So you're gonna start importing food, right? Get them to start eating octopus, wild hog, um, and gators. And we're gonna solve their food problem real quick. But anyways, I got a phone call coming in, so I gotta go. I'll be back later. Thanks for hanging out with me, Jen.